Hi, I'm John Cranton with Jim Feist.tv. Going to take a look at the 2013 NFC South Division. This is a division with a chip on its shoulder. Every team in the division has something to prove. Now, the Saints, they got flogged by the commissioner with a string of penalties in 2012 that really ruined their season. The Falcons lost the NFC Championship game at home, blowing a 17-0 lead. Meanwhile, the Panthers and the Bucs feel they have the talent to be better after struggling at times last fall in key areas. We're going to start with the New Orleans Saints. Despite losing key pieces on defense and their play-calling head coach, the Saints' offense finished #1 in the NFL in passing last year, 312.3 yards per game, and they get coach Sean Payton back alongside quarterback Drew Brees. Now, he had 43 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, 5,177 yards passing. That's back-to-back 5,000-plus yard seasons. Loaded with talent with tight end Jimmy Graham, 982 yards. Wide receiver Marcus Goldson and wide receiver Lance Moore both had over 1,000 yards receiving. They lead this explosive attacking offense that will be, again, one of the NFL's best. Now, the ground game never really got going last year, ranked 25th, but they should provide better balance with running back Mark Ingram and his 602 yards, plus Pierre Thomas, 473 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Now, Sean Payton, he got in the best physical shape of his life in a high-intensity fitness program this off-season, so he's supremely focused, and he's brought that same off-season workout approach to the Saints. Now, the Saints' defense completely fell off the planet last year, 31st at defending the pass, allowing 292 yards per game, and they were dead last against the run, surrendering a whopping 147.6 yards rushing per game. So there are new looks everywhere, starting with defensive coordinator Rob Ryan, who loves to bring the blitz. Now, the Saints signed cornerback Keenan Lewis and linebacker Victor Butler, and they drafted players like Texas safety Kenny Vaccaro and defensive tackle John Jenkins. And New Orleans had an embarrassing playoffs loss to Seattle 3 years ago. They came back with a fired-up and focused off-season attitude. They ended up going 13-3 2 years ago with one of the best teams in the NFL. And that same attitude seems to be there again this offseason. Now, the Saints' schedule got road games at the Bears, Patriots, and Falcons and Seahawks. Those 4 games are going to be tough. And they open with the rival Atlanta Falcons. That game will be at home. Now, the Saints were 10-6 over the total last year. That's part of a 21-13 run over the total the last 2 years. Second place, we'll look at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons, on defense, they ranked 23rd against the pass and 21st against the run last season. And that was really their undoing in the NFC title game against San Francisco, a 28-24 loss. They allowed 373 yards, 149 yards rushing, 5.1 yards per carry, despite having an edge in plays of 66-51. So what did they do to upgrade the defense? Well, they add defensive end OC Mike, and they selected Washington cornerback Desmond Trufant. However, they're kind of moving sideways on defense because defensive end John Abraham is gone. Linebacker Akeem Dent is average, and cornerback Asante Samuel is now 32 years old, and his former running mate Brent Grimes left to go to Miami. But there's no denying the talent on this Atlanta offense. 6th in the NFL in passing last year, 281.8 yards per game, and that was under first-year offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter, who loves to pass. Now, they are one of the best at it with quarterback Matt Ryan, 32 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,719 yards passing. Great talents with wide receiver Julio Jones, 1,198 yards, and Roddy White with 1,351 yards, plus tight end Tony Gonzalez. The veteran is back again after 930 yards. And this offense should get better with the ground game with the addition of running back Steven Jackson. This ground game ranked just 29th in the NFL, a measly 87.3 yards rushing per game. Despite all that offense, this team has gone 10-7 under the total in each of the last 2 seasons. Doesn't really appear to be a lot of depth with Atlanta, too, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Now, the Falcons' schedule really isn't that bad. They play 4 of their first 6 games at home, with the only tough road games coming at Green Bay and at San Francisco. And in third place, we'll take a look at the Carolina Panthers. Now, Carolina has gone 6-10 and 7-9 the last 2 years. Quarterback Cam Newton's touchdown to interception ratio in those 2 years, 21 TDs, 17 picks, and then 19 touchdowns and 12 picks in those 2 years, marginal. Last year, he threw for 3,869 yards and ran for 741 to lead the team, 5.8 yards rushing per carry. But really, he needs help as the offense ranks 16th in passing, 9th in rushing. The draft went to the defense, so the offense was going to look pretty much the same with wide receiver Steve Smith, 1,174 yards, who averaged 16 yards per catch. You got tight end Greg Olson at 843 yards, and running back D'Angelo Williams adds balance with 733 yards rushing. Mike Shula steps up as the offensive coordinator for the Panthers after Rob Chudzinski went to Cleveland, and they will continue to run the zone read offense. Now, the Carolina defense was terrible 2 years ago, but made big strides last year. They finished 13th against the pass, 14th against the run, with a pair of talented young pass rushers in 25-year-old Greg Hardy and his 11 sacks, and 27-year-old defensive end Charles Johnson, 12.5 sacks. Now they have rookie defensive tackle Star Lotulelei coming in, and Kwan Shore add to the front line. Lotulelei was the number 14th pick in the draft from Utah. The secondary adds 11-year veteran cornerback Drayton Florence. Now the Panthers are more experienced at the nickel position in the secondary after re-signing Captain Manorlin, as well as bringing in former Chicago defensive back DJ Moore. Now the Panthers, the schedule, they have a mixture of tough and easy games, opening with Seattle and then having games later against the Giants, Patriots, 49ers, and 2 each against the Falcons and the Saints in their division. Now keep in mind, Carolina carries an 8-4 spread run into the new season, as well as 7-3 over the total. Finally, we're going to take a look at the Bucs in last place. Tampa Bay, they played hard for first-year coach Greg Schiano, a last-place team, but 7-9 record, 8-4-1 against the spread. The offense was upgraded under his tutelage, 10th in the NFL in passing, with 249 yards passing per game, and they were 15th in rushing the football. Now, quarterback Josh Freeman, he went from being a turnover machine to an impressive year, 27 touchdowns and 17 picks last year, along with 4,065 yards passing, although 10 fumbles, 2 of them lost. That's still a concern for the young quarterback. Not turning the ball over was key under this coach a year ago, and they certainly have improved. They do have some balance on offense, as running back Doug Martin was a huge plus with 1,454 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, and 11 touchdowns. He was also their third leading pass catcher with 472 yards receiving. Got pretty good wide receivers with Vincent Jackson, 1,384 yards, and Mike Williams with 996 yards. And remember, the Bucs were minus 16th in turnover margin 2 years ago. That was the NFL's worst, and they improved to 12th in the league last year. The Tampa Bay defense, boy, they were defensive extremes. They were tops in the NFL against the run last year, but dead last against the pass, giving up 297 yards passing per game. The Bucs have invested a lot of high draft picks in their defensive line of late, and it's worked to help stuff the run, though they don't have much of a pass rush. 27th in sacks last year. That was 29th in the league. Now the Bucs cut their rushing yards allowed per game from 156 per game in 2011 to just 82.5 per game last year. That was the first team since the NFL merger to go from worst to first in run defense. The secondary has new looks. You got young safety Mark Barron. He struggled badly last year, and the Bucs dealt cornerback Aqib Talib in mid-season, and that paved the way for adding star cornerback Darrelle Revis, who joins the Bucs this season, as well as signing 49ers safety Dashon Goldson, and they drafted SEC defensive back John Banks, so this secondary should be vastly upgraded. The schedule starts tough, playing the Jets, Saints, and Patriots, 2 of those games on the road, and that opener is at New York, so you got Darrelle Revis facing his old team. Tampa Bay also plays 4 of its final 6 games on the road, but should be a tough team under Greg Schiano, who is a very good hire. That'll do it from here. Make sure you check out JimFeist.tv for more college football previews as well as NFL previews.